think it's time to tell you all a little bit about me, especially because I've been asked a few times recently where I get my information from. I want you all to feel comfortable and safe watching my videos or having one-on-one consultations with me, because the entire reason that I started this channel was to provide any help or understanding that I could to anyone who needed it when they found me. So in order for you to trust me, you should know who you're listening to. And you can use your own discernment regarding whether you want to continue watching me or whether someone else is better suited to your needs. So, as most of you know already, my name is Alex with 2 X's. I come from a very long line of very clairsense prominent people. I am both Lavari and Dom, 2 subsects of what is more commonly referred to with the slang gypsy. Both my grandmother and my mother were clairvoyant, claircognizant, and clairsentient. And they encouraged me to practice these things throughout my life. My father is also clairvoyant, though he prefers not to be. Since I was little, I've seen and interacted with spirit, but it got me into a lot of trouble in school growing up, since I was consistently speaking to them, and so I was told to shut it off, which I did until I was much older. Like you, I come from a lot of trauma in my past. I've also dealt with severe depression throughout my life, which has transmuted into generalized anxiety. I've done years upon years upon years of therapy and allowed myself to be guinea pigged with medications in order to calm down my overactive ego. I threw myself into academia to prove myself and help quiet my core karmic lesson of self-worth. And it wasn't until I was in my PhD in art theory and philosophy that I had a full-blown ego degradation, which completely broke my mind. I emerged 6 months later, not knowing who I was, what I was doing, or where I was going. I had been practicing yoga for a year at this point, and I decided to go into teacher training. So we were required to read this book called the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which you've heard me mention multiple times before. And in it, there was a quote that stated, "As the mind, so the man, bondage or liberation are in your own mind." And this quote was like a shot of LSD to my brain. And it was like all of the years of depression turmoil and my ego degradation were finally understood. Things began to fall into place. I ended up doing the longest amount of yoga training available, which is 500 hours. And even though I specialized in yoga for illness and injury, I was more so drawn to the philosophy of Samkhya thought, spirituality, and the Sanskrit language. I read every major book in Hinduism, including the Mahabharata, Vedas, Upanishads, and Bhagavad Gita. I learned how to read Sanskrit. I apprenticed with Ayurvedic doctors. I taught meditation and breathwork, and I taught yogic philosophy and Samkhya philosophy. I have also had a traditional Chinese medicine doctor who has been a mentor for over a decade. So after yoga training, I went back to school and became a certified master herbalist. I then became a certified Reiki master, energy healer, chakra healer, and cacao ceremony facilitator. I've done intensives with sound bath facilitators, breathwork facilitators, and animal communication specialists. I channel, I am clairsentient, claircognizant, clairaudient, and clairvoyant. I am an animal empath, which, if you're one too, I know how much it sucks. I read tarot, I see spirit, and I am very well versed in astrology. Now, how does this all translate into these things that I teach about the soul family? So, I've always known that people come in and out of my life in order to teach lessons. I figured out that once the lesson is learned, the person generally leaves. I also noticed that these people would lead me to other people who would teach lessons. This was egoically incredibly irritating to me because I felt like the healing work and lesson learning would never be done. And then one day I met my twin. And the first separation we had soon after blew my fucking mind. Like literally, I began to have another ego degradation and I had no idea what was going on or why, after knowing this person for 2 weeks, I was feeling this way. So I chalked it up to a lot of things that I could rationalize. But in every separation, I started healing more and more, things that I had never been able to touch in my years of therapy. I started looking at every person, experience, and issue in my life under a magnifying glass. And through a mixture of meditations, breathing, journaling, and clairsenses, things again started coming together. In our last separation, my twin and me, I moved 3,000 miles away from him and decided to start writing a book about this whole twin flame concept and the other members of the soul family. But in order to do that, I first had to do a shit ton of research on both the brain and science in order to have some sort of proof that what I was talking about and writing about was real. So I sat for months and researched quantum mechanics, quantum physics, string theory, biology, quantum entanglement, mirror neurons, neuroplasticity, epigenetics, and a plethora of other things, mixing them with my clairsenses. I then started talking to and interviewing others about their soul families and realized that everyone pretty much has the exact same experiences with minor 3D differences. Science could explain our interconnectedness and has at this point proved that everything is the same. My God, I can't speak. But the brain has different explanations. And so I went back to all of my knowledge in Samkhya thought and was able to find this perfect split between universal truth and ego truth. So where do I get my information from? The information I give you is a mixture of science, philosophy, and spirituality. It's a conglomeration of Eastern and Western thought mixed together with quantum physics, string theory, neuroscience, psychology, my own personal experiences, others' experiences, and a lot of energetic information that I work with. When dealing with the soul family, nothing can be truly proven. And if any coaches or teachers tell you it's fact, they're full of shit. Everything is philosophical in nature. And when I teach something, it's my responsibility to have as much information as I can before I relay anything to you. But I will say this, if you have met your twin, you know that there is a knowing that you just can't explain. There is a healing that you just can't explain. There is a remembering that you just can't explain. When you meet a soulmate, you know that there is a feeling that you can't explain. When you meet a karmic, you know there is an energy you can't explain. I can give you 1,000 egoic reasons why what I teach is the right way of looking at things, but I would never be so bold or ridiculous as to state that, because we are still living in the 3D realm of ego. I have a lot of knowledge and experience, both with energy and thought, but when it boils down to it, you have to think, feel, understand, and remember who you are on your own. I can hopefully guide you through the perils of the soul family and your egoic thoughts related to them and give you a different perspective. But ultimately, you are the one who created everything. So in truth, you are the one with all of the answers. Until next week, all of my best and highest vibrations to you.